Hello, guys. We're just waiting 1 to 2 more minutes so that we can have everyone on board. My name is Abdullah Hamid, and I'll be hosting and conducting the camp, the next 9 classes, as in which constitutes the camp. Upon completion, all of you are going to get a certificate, but that's I think for the other day to understand. Just wait 1 minute. So by the time it's 3 or 4, we're going to start with what we have to do right now. So just hang tight and give me 2 minutes so that we can wait. Okay, I believe everyone is here, and we need to not waste any more time. We're going to divide this class because since this is an introductory class, we're going to divide it into 2 parts. We already had your introductions, and everyone introduced themselves within the group which was assigned. I hope everyone is added within that group, and that is how you came over here. Anyways, I can see some names which have already done debates and have done public speaking generally with respect to parliamentary debates and Model United Nations. Whereas I can see a lot of new faces who have yet to enter into the realm of public speaking, have yet to display their diplomatic prowess, have yet to display whatever they have to say with respect to public speaking, right? So, in that regards, we're going to divide the session into two parts. The first part is going to be about just general introduction and the power of speech and debate education in general, right? So, there's a difference between speech and debate education, and I'm going to tell you that through a presentation that I've created. And the second part of this particular session will be about the introduction to diagnostics. So, in total, we're going to have, so that for everyone, it's easier for everyone to understand. In total, we're going to have 9 classes, 9 40-minute classes. And after those classes end, I'm going to send the link of the diagnostic within the WhatsApp group. What is a diagnostic? Diagnostic will be a test that will be taken on Google Forms for you to attempt and for you to answer the questions, whatever is listed within the questions, right? So it'll be a simple Google form, and those questions will not be as difficult as you might think they are. Rather, they will show individualistic colors that I want to kind of see with respect to each of you people, right? So in that regards, let's just begin with the presentation quickly so that we can end it, and then we can start on with the introduction to diagnostics. Okay. Uh, so the presentation is titled as The Power of Speech and Debate Education, right? It's taking a while to show. Just give me a second. Okay. All right. This is the first slide. This is basic introduction to MUNs and parliamentary debates. We're not going to focus our time mainly on that, but we're going to focus on the other essential parts that are necessary. I hope it's visible to everyone. If it's not visible, you can raise your hands and then voice your concerns from thereafter. Okay. Uh, so why debate? That's the important part for you to understand. Leave other things aside, right? Why debate is perhaps the most important. Uh, 3 people have raised their hand, so you guys cannot see the screen. Is that it? Just give me a second. Can you guys see the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Right. So, introduction, why debate, introduction to parliamentary debates, MUNs, choosing the right debate program and format, and benefits. I think the first and the fifth part is the most important uh, part of the journey with respect to public speaking, because I've seen a lot of teachers, people don't, uh, come to terms with the responsibility that they are given. And that was one concern that I had myself as a student. A lot of times, teachers don't tell what their responsibility is. Sure, students are given this responsibility, are tasked with this responsibility that they have to do their work on time and whatnot, all these cliche things. But it's also an important part within the learning curvature that the teacher tells you what the responsibility is. And I think choosing the right debating program and format is perhaps the most important thing. In which program are you most likely to spend more time with, right? And which program are you going to give more time or dedicate more time to? So I think this is pretty important, and it's going to get clear once this presentation is done. Okay, to stay on top of the game, the first thing that you need to remember is you need to always be ready, right? So treat public speaking more like a, let's say, preparation for war sort of like a thing, because you see you have barracks and you have all of those things which kind of contain soldiers, and they're always ready to prepare for a war. They're already prepared for a battle, for special ops, for other operations, etc., etc., etc. So there's a basic training that everyone has to go through, which this is the basic training, and after this you'd always be ready in your entire life to opt for any public speaking that you want to. So that's the first thing that you need to remember. You always need to be ready. Now, why is debating valuable? Debate is a valuable activity for students of all skill levels. This is important for you to understand because we have different skill levels present within this meeting as well. Some of you have attended debates, some of you have not attended debates. Now, debate teaches useful skills for other academic pursuits and life more generally. Most obviously, debaters build confidence speaking in public and expressing their ideas eloquently. That comfort speaking in front of others is useful in so many areas of life, from interviews to school presentations, discussions, and college seminars, right? Which I think is pretty much understandable, right? So this is basic a value that is being added to debates. Debating helps you socialize. Now, perhaps most important of all, debate is fun. You may have had to cajole your son or daughter to go to the test prep class to do their homework, but debate makes learning a game, right? So treat this more like a game, right? Whereas you're not forcing someone else to, kind of moving towards what you have to say, but rather moving yourself with regard to what you have to say, right? Debate builds lifelong friendships and community, and it does a lot of things, right? So this is pretty much understandable already. The forms of debating, there's MUNs, there's parliamentary debates, and there are other forms such as reclamations, Oxford style, Congress. There's a Lincoln form of debates as well, something that I used to do, but it really went on, right? Though there was only two schools that used to do that. There's one Shoifat and the other was in Karachi, right? So, but it isn't really there anymore. So these are forms of debating. For those who are new, they need to realize that there are a lot of forms of debating. All of you are O-level students, A-level students. So we're not going to focus our time on basic generic things. We're going to focus more on what is required technically. एक MUNs होते हैं, then there's parliamentary debates, and then there are other forms, right? Congress, Oxford style declamation. जो other forms and these are not readily practiced in Pakistan, at least. Declamation is, but to an extent, I wouldn't really advise you to pursue it. Okay, these are five questions that you need to understand. What is the difference between MUNs and debates? The basic difference between MUNs and debates is that one is more factual centric, whereas other is more logic centric, right? It's more based off of logic and, let's say, pseudo philosophy, and more off of social dynamics, whereas one is more factual centric, right? Now, the first question that you need to understand, और ये बात लिख लो कहीं अगर आपने लिखनी है, because you have to choose the right program at the end of the day. Okay, are you more inclined towards, let's say, policies, or are you more inclined towards, let's say, logic? Are you more inclined towards, let's say, facts, or are you more inclined towards, let's say, rhetoric? Right? Each is a little. But if you want to obviously practice both, you can. Now, what do you want to achieve? Uh, Another question that you need to ask. And trust me on this, even if you've been in debates for the past 10 years, even someone like me, this one question that I asked myself every single day, still to this day, like, what do I want to achieve with respect to debates, right? And this is something that you need to ask yourself as well every day. Like, what do you want to achieve in debates? Why are you doing this? Like, what do you want to achieve at the end of the day? My goals might be different than your goals, and someone else's goal might be different than someone else's goal, right? Second question, ये चीजें ना लिख लो एक 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 आंसर पे ना बेसिक रजिस्टर पे. You don't have to show it to me, you don't have to show it to your parents, you don't have to show it to someone else. It's only for your own clarity. And I think clarity of the mind is perhaps, if your mind is clear about things that you have to pursue, then I think that it becomes very easy for you to pursue. Like, what do you want to achieve? Like, what is the threshold? कहाँ तक जाना चाह रहे हो? What do you want to achieve? Do you want to win? Do you want to, let's say, do you have a certain mind? Do you want to win something? Do you want to pursue something? Do you want to establish something? Do you want to go from one place to another? Like, Are you preparing yourself for, let's say, interviews? Like, what are you trying to do? Are you forming an NGO? Are you going to become its head? And then you required public speaking, and it's metal over there. You want to prove, there are a lot of things that you can. The third is, can you participate in all debate formats? Yes, you can participate in all debate formats. And that's the good thing about public speaking. You're not restricted towards one particular debate format. Like you can, if you feel like you need, if you feel like, you're good at policies, you can go there. But if you also feel like you can, throw some of logic and, kind of twist things in a way and produce beautiful arguments, then you can also, test your prowess into parliamentary debates, which is more beneficial. Uh, um, every format has its own, benefits and drawbacks. But personally, I would give parliamentary debates in more nations a grander footing in comparison to other formats. That is why I had more information listed for those two formats, and that is where we need to focus our attention towards as well, which is more difficult. This is a question that is pretty subjective uh, with respect to its idiosyncrasies. For a certain person, MUNs might be a little difficult. For other people, parliamentary debates might be difficult, right? तो ये 5 क्वेश्चंस हैं, इनके एक लाइन आंसर लिख लो ताकि you have clarity in mind and you know what you have to do at the end of the day. Okay. Benefits of debating. Uh, but they're not limited. The preparation of competitions, research skills, etc., etc., etc. One of my favorite novelists, Fitzgerald, once wrote that the test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposed ideas in mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. I think if you do this, and if you learn what this is, and if you put this into practice, I think that is when you kind of feel a little, what do I call it? A little, I'd not say replenished, but a little, what is the right word? A little okay with yourself, right? That you're fine with yourself, that you've achieved something, right? To hold two different ideas in your mind, right, at the same time and still retain the ability to function. Oftentimes today, this is not the case, right? So you have either radical opposition where, when you say something, the other person just rightly jumps out of his seat and stops you from saying that and says that, no, this is not how things work. This is how things work. I'm going to tell you how things work, which is not really good at the end of the day. To generate discourse, you need to have two ideas in your mind and still have the ability to, function. And that's one quote that I have kind of been with since a long time. Okay. Uh, Again, Arne Duncan, the Secretary of Education. So what they said was, the Secretary of Education says that a debate is uniquely suited to build skills required of a modern citizen, including critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. You would drastically see yourself improve in other areas of life as well, presentations, etc., 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 and not just, debating room, the confinements of a four wall, right? And I think that's the most important part that you need to realize. All right, the ninth slide of our presentation states debating college admissions. Uh, okay, you might appear in SATs one time in your life. Those are standardized aptitude tests. Students who've joined us for A levels, they might be appearing right now. They might have appeared, but these skills help students express their thoughts and better in their academic work and their college applications, right? So the college board recently revamped the SAT test to focus more on exactly the sort of skills debate teaches, right? As NY Times explained, student taking the new version of the test must write a critical response to a specific argument based on analysis rather than personal experience, right? Debaters are used to responding to unfamiliar arguments in time sensitive situations. Thinking critically about a written passage on the SAT is not so different from responding to an opponent's argument in a debate round, right? Likewise, they achieve more in ACT, which is another form of aptitude test, right? And many universities even offer scholarships specifically for college debaters. Trust me on this. I'm studying myself on a scholarship based of my parliamentary debates background, right? So there was only one seat that they had to offer for the entire college, and it was given to me based off of that I was a good debater and that I proved myself in the trials that they conducted, right? So I'm telling you this, sorry, that it's going to help you a ton, right? So it helps you a lot, and it's going to help you in your admission tests as well, such as SAT and ACT. It's basically a natural cognitive it's basic it has to do with your natural cognition, right? So it gradually improves day by day, day by day, day by day, just by you having a debating mindset at the end of the day. Debating college admissions, we're done with that. Some statistics. 96% debaters qualify for leading position at socioeconomic and societal level. I've seen this, and I've seen this happen around me. I still see this happen around me. And 1 in 3 debaters secure higher profile admission in universities and colleges. That's true, and that's with scholarship, right? So without scholarship, the percentage still goes up, right? So debating is that one thing that kind of puts you ahead of someone else, right? So for example, if you have 5 or 10 good people in your class, all of them might have 9 to 10 A's and A stars, but at the end of the day, they're going and trust me on this. uh, the way things work with respect to admissions, stuff like that. uh, so there might be, let's say, a million Chinese youth students who have had either the same grades as you or better grades than you. Same goes for Indians, and same goes for other Asian people and groups and other people outside of Asia as well, right? So what then becomes the difference for different admission uh, officers to decide, okay, which students we have to pick and which we have to not pick? Sports, number one, and number two, debates. Right? I'd put sports a little bit above public speaking. The reason being that sports is a little different. It's altogether a different field, and it's so there are practically two domains. There's debates and then there's sports, right? So you either be very good at sports, national level, international level, or you either be very good at debates, right? And it's okay if you want to be good at debates at college level as well, right? uh, so we're done with that. So these two things go hand in hand. When I was in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, a couple of years back, I we got laughed on by a couple of groups that came from America, which said that which we had to show a curriculum to them, and they had to kind of analyze that curriculum because it was a conference that was going on, and they laughed at us by saying that you guys, don't you really have a balance with respect to academic career? Because it's not like a routine that we come at 8 at a school and then we leave at 2 or 3, and then the process repeats again and again and again, and you were trapped within this very vicious cycle that you can't really get out. So where do you find leverage then, right? And that is where, let's say, after school debating gaps come in play, and this is where debates come in play, or this is where sports come in play, stuff like that. So it's always going to go hand in hand. This is perhaps the most important question that you want to ask yourself. Like, how serious do you want to be about the activity, right? Are you going to, let's say, leave it after, let's say, 1 month? Are you going to leave it after 2 months? It's not really that at the end of the day. What is important for you to understand is that you can't really leave this, right? You can't really step out of it, because it's going to test you again and again, not within the domains of a debating classroom, but within the domains of just general life, right? That's the important thing for you to understand, right? Okay. So how serious do you want to be about this activity? And do you want to be about this activity? I'm going to stop here for 30 seconds so that you guys can, just generally think about how serious do you want to be about the activity. Is there something that you want to prove? Is there something that you want to, again, at the end of the day, achieve? Like, how serious do you want to be about this activity? Because these 9 classes and 1 class is already over, we have 8 more classes left, and 9 diagnostics in total, as in 9 tests in total. And all I want from you guys is that you guys attend classes regularly, and then just shamelessly asking me questions, right? I have always admired those students and those people who have shamelessly asked me questions, right? They have no remorse, no regret over the amount of questions that they ask, right? It sounds a little off, but that's what it is. So how serious do you want to be about the activity? Pretty important for me. Uh, Again, just as the first slide stated, that you have to always be ready, and you always have to be work as a team, as a unit, right? Ready to deliver. Debating and things and points, policies around debating, they're they always yield more benefits if they're done together and if they're done collectively. So find a group that is as serious as you, and then together you work and you show yourself to the world, right? That's what it is, right? uh, Work with people who you have chemistry with, who you have built chemistry with, and then from there on, just do what you have to, right? uh, So now I'm going to be taking questions and concerns with respect to the camp, with respect to learn, etc., etc. Right? Just keep yourself muted. Okay. So one by one, just raise your hands, and then I'll be answering your questions so that we can be very clear about what the camp is about, what you're going to learn, and everything that revolves around it. Okay. Questions, guys, just raise your hands so that we can start. Okay, Iceland dissect.
Sir, I want to ask that are we gonna have mockman sessions within these sessions like you're conducting this month?
Yeah. Okay, a good question. So the person asked that will we be having mockmans? Yes, you will be having mockmans. I had dedicated one day for each week specifically for debates, as in virtual debates. So yes, we'd be having those within the camp, as in debating activities within the camp. Guys, questions? Just raise your hand so that I can recognize you and you can ask your questions. The questions can be about anything, right? The timings, the curriculum, stuff like that. So that we can move forward to the diagnostic part. Okay, Hamad.
Yeah, it's okay. I was actually just gonna ask about the diagnostics, but you said that we'll discuss it, so it's okay.
Okay, right, right. So we're going to spend 40 minutes Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, right? 3 to 3:40, right? Ye time hoga jab we're going to interact with each other. We're going to learn something, and then after this, like at 3:40, I'm going to send something in the WhatsApp group, and that'll be a Google form, right? A diagnostic, which you have to complete and send to me before the next day starts, right? So before it's tomorrow's class, you're going to send the diagnostic to me. Okay, since this is our first class, I'm going to share the screen for your first diagnostic, right? Doesn't really matter, but I'm going to share it with you guys. Diagnostic is basically a test. Okay, where are we? Just give me a second, it's opening.
Sir, I have just one question.
Yeah, yeah.
Sir, I want to ask, like, when are we gonna have physical classes? The schools are reopening from 2nd August, and what about the A1s? There's gonna be the new batch, and how are they gonna cope up with this session?
Okay, good question again. I think, well, it's you guys who's going to help me with it, honestly, because A1s are in, so that means ke दूसरे school से भी लोग आ रहे होंगे, which inadvertently means that there are going to be a lot of new faces, right? So A2s, which are you guys, you're going to help me with respect to dealing with them. Khair, we're going to decide about that. Let's have a meeting, very quick meeting, physical meeting in the school, ताकि we can decide कि जो A1s आ रहे हैं, what do we have to do about them, right? Arslan?
Yeah. Well, I actually wanted to ask if, say, this is debating. This is it's very social, right? So what if will this help us with, say, if someone is really anxious to speak in front of people or has social anxiety generally, will this be beneficial for them too?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Guys, listen to me very carefully. With respect to anxiety and with respect to just basic social interactions and the axle on which interactions revolve around, I've personally held it very close to my heart that whoever students that I teach, whichever the group is, they at least know what the basic courtesies are of a simple conversation, right? And that is something that you're going to learn within this particular camps as well. आज क्योंकि introduction है तो we're not doing per se something, although आप लोगों ने test को भी attempt करना है within the next 7 minutes, तो आपके पास आ जाएगा. I'm sharing the screen. But with respect to, let's say, coping with social anxiety, building social, just building social networks, growing with other people, recognizing how things work with other schools, stuff like that. That is also very essential to your growth. And that is something we're going to address here. Anxiety, let's say stage fright, let's say confidence with respect to what you have to say, all of those things. So we're going to do a lot of that. We're going to do specific exercises for that. Okay, so this is the diagnostic that you guys have to attempt. So every diagnostic will be numbered 1 to 9, right? So this is diagnostic number 1. And it is going to have, every diagnostic is going to have section 1, which is going to constitute of name and a class. That's it. A name and a class. And then it's going to comprise of tasks, right? So every diagnostic is going to comprise of tasks, right? Which you have to complete. So over here, the task number 1 is you need to watch the following YouTube video, right? Copy and paste this address in the tab. Obviously, abhi to aap nahi kar paoge screen sharing. Then you have to answer 2 questions that are there with respect to the diagnostic. From just watching the video, please write a note on what you observe to be the most interesting aspect of a life in 1929, right? Minimum words 300. Second question, there are several interviews in this video. Which one interview did you like the most and why? Right? Minimum words 200. You can write as long of an answer that you want to. Again, your anxiety, public speaking anxiety starts over here. The coping mechanism for anxiety starts over here. क्योंकि ये एक video है, it's a 14-minute video, 14-15-minute lengthy video, जिसमें we go back in 1929. Yes, we go back in 1929, and there's a guy who's questioning elderly people about their life, right, in 1929. And the way he presents his questions and the way they answer the questions, right, the fervor that is attached to it, the modesty that is attached to it, the details that are attached to it. And it's going to be a lovely video for you to watch. You're going to love it. So make sure that you do it. Ayan, you have a question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I have my question is that for will we have team debates and will those teams be made on our own choice?
So yes, your first team debate will be tomorrow, right? So since this was an introductory session, we couldn't really do anything except for, let's say, the diagnostic and introduction to why speech is essential. From tomorrow onwards, and अगले week तो होनी नहीं है because of Eid. उसके बाद जो 2 weeks है, as in 6 classes that will be left. Tomorrow's इस हफ्ते की जो 2 classes रह गई हैं, and then 6 classes बाद में. We're going to do very regular debates. and I'm going to divide you guys. I'm going to give you topics. Abhi is like as in over here, right? So tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and every day, whenever we get a chance to debate and join within the camp, 3 to 3:40, I would want to utilize these 40 minutes solely for debating, ताकि हम कर सकें, and then a diagnostic that you guys can attempt it. It's very simple, very fun diagnostics. Actually, very, very, very. There is something that I'm looking forward to within this diagnostic. These diagnostics, right? There's a second task as well. I'm not going to show you that because for some reasons you're going to see it for yourself. जो ये video है ना, or the questions that are around it, these are not made by me, right? And the answers are not going to be judged by me. So you see, I study law, right? And I see everything with respect to its supreme inference, right? And I drive logic from facts and from supreme inference. So these answers are going to go to a couple of friends that I have who are studying psychology, and a couple of friends that I have who are studying philosophy, and a couple of friends who are actively partaking in gender studies and are partaking sociology, right? मैं उन्हें भेजूंगा आपको के answers, and then they're going to tell me a little something about you guys, and then I'm going to address that, right? And these questions are very specifically made. Yes, random questions nahi hai. So there are several interviews in the video. आप लोगों ने एक interview choose करना है which you like the most, and you need to tell me why. Time setting किसी different भी हो सकती थी. The test would have been about, let's say, interviews of 2000 or interviews of 1980, interviews about 1960. There's a particular reason why these interviews are based in 1929, and there's a reason why the first question is listed openly and as clearly stated from just watching the video. Please write a note on what you observe to be the most interesting aspects of a life in 1929, and from just seeing the video. आपने assume नहीं करना कि things work. So stuff like these. So we're going to do a lot of fun diagnostics. 8 more diagnostics for each class, as in 1 diagnostic per class, and 8 debates, right? So ye likh lo baat, we're going to do 8 debates from this point onwards, every debate in every class, right? And I'm going to divide students randomly, right? जैसे वो आते हैं group में, as in once you attend the class, right? बल्कि I can do it before that. I should do it before that, right? Agar I am going to once you've attempted this diagnostic, obviously responses are going to be recorded by me and it's going to come to me. So uski basis pe then I'm going to make teams, right? So make sure कि diagnostic आप कर लो by today, right? Do not delay it. If you delay it, then you're not going to get a certificate, and you're also not going to be shortlisted for any more debates from tomorrow, right? तो मैं आपका नाम वैसे नहीं include करूँगा. I'm only going to include नाम जो कि मेरे responses में आए होंगे. So that's pretty straightforward, right? Please join tomorrow exactly at 3 and do this diagnostic.